Okay, so we are live. Hello, everybody. This is Sarah, the Empowered Light Leader Show. This is episode 2 of my podcast. I'm just going to take a moment to make this show public on my Facebook channel. And we're going to introduce our very special speaker today. So it makes me do this manually every time. I don't know how to fix this. I have to go to, let's see, edit privacy. Then I have to go to public. Okay, it's public now. So you should be able to see it. And then you can share it to your page so all of your friends see it, see you. Let me know when you're ready. I'll just wait for some people to hop on. I don't think anybody's on yet. I'm just going to take a sip of my drink.
All right, it's been shared out.
Yay, so it's shared? It's out there. Hello, hi, I see one person watching. I'm going to pull up the comments so we can say hello if you're joining us, if you're watching. Welcome back to the second episode of my podcast, The Empowered Light Leader. We have a very special guest today, Joanne Angel Barry Cologne. Did I say it right?
Yes, you
I
did.
said it right. Congratulations. I said it right. So she has a very varied background, and we're going to talk about healing the emotional body, how emotions get stuck in the body. We're going to be talking about self-fulfillment, why that's important. And then we're going to go into some numerology and astrology, which is always good stuff. Maybe she'll give us some updates as to what's going on. And maybe if you want to ask some questions, please feel free. And don't be shy. Say hello. Put your name in the comments, say hi, tell me where you're watching from. It's always nice to have everybody participate. So welcome, Joanne. How are you this evening?
I am well and excited to be here, and thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
On this amazing evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, which is amazing.
Yeah, so why don't you tell everybody what you do? So I know you have a varied background. So you're a healer. I know you're a reverend. I know that you do astrology.
Yes, I have a very long bio,
but in a nutshell, like many of us, right?
In a nutshell, holistic personal trainer, intuitive healer, cosmic energy reader, medical astrologer, and master of numerology. And just to put it out there, also the creator of the Chakra Balance Numerology Cosmic Energy Forecast.
Oh, you have your own deck?
Yes, I do have my own deck, which is where I do all my work from. Believe it or not, I'll just show it again so everyone can actually see them.
Yep. Oh, I'd love to see that deck. Yeah, so maybe later you can pull some cards from that deck if you like.
Definitely will. And
so why don't you tell us a little bit? So I know you do a lot. So maybe how did you kind of get involved? I know you have like a health background, the medical intuitive. Maybe tell us a little bit how that started for you. I know a lot of people start with their own healing, right? And their own transformation. Was that the case for you?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's for anybody. When we're on a journey, how we begin our journey is through some sort of space of we're either trying to figure something out or some trauma. For me,
right?
Exactly. For me, it wasn't so much about a trauma, but it was a trauma because my gateway into really tapping into all of my modalities, or most of them, was due to help of my mom's passing. She had crossed over back in March 12, 2011. And prior to her crossing over, I started dabbling into Reiki and some crystals due to some personal stuff that I was going through prior to her crossing over. And then once she did cross over, it opened up the gateway where I started tapping into astrology. Numerology became extremely powerful for me. I had this amazing mentor that I was introduced to literally weeks after my mom had crossed, and she took me under her wing, taught me how to use to do numerology rather, by working with an actual deck of cards.
Like a playing deck?
Exactly. Exactly. Like a deck of cards you would see in Las Vegas, for that matter. Right. And when I first started doing readings, that's how I did my readings. And then little by little, I started playing with other decks of cards. And sometime in March of, let's see, 2019, I was actually hosting my very first TV show.
Oh, that's right. You
And
have a show.
yes, and on the
Yeah.
show, as I'm chatting with my guest, I hear my mother in my ear saying to me, because I'm about to do a reading for the guest, and my mother, I hear her say to me, "You need your own deck of cards." Now, understand, spirit does not speak that clearly.
That's right.
So all
Right.
I'm doing is hearing this, and in my head, I'm saying, "Mom, this is not the right time to have this conversation with me. Can we revisit this later? Because I'm on my show for the very first time, very nervous." And this is all conversation having in my head, not even out
So
loud.
you obviously though you must have some clairaudience, right? So you must have
Yes.
some mediumship clairaudience about,
Oh,
right?
yes,
To be able to
definitely.
hear that. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
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 So a week later on my show again, just about ready to do another reading, and she has the same conversation with me. So long story short, I get home that night and I sit down and I'm like, "Okay, Mom, let's have a conversation, because what's this about cards?" And she, in her way of saying it, she wanted me to create a deck of cards. And
So
my
she's almost
creative,
like a guide for you.
yes, my creative skills are about dancing, not creating cards. So,
Okay.
and I'm downsizing the story just a little bit, only so we don't get overboard in that conversation. So long story short, I reached out to someone, let them know my idea of what my mother had in mind for my cards, and that's how my deck of cards came about. And what my cards actually include is a color. Each card is a different color, and the
Oh,
colors actually
okay.
represent the chakras.
And they have
There's a
numbers
total,
on them too, I
yeah,
see.
I'll get to that too. So there's a total of 8 different colors, which represents 7 of the chakras. With the heart chakra, there's pink and green, so I wanted to include both. Then there's a number that is associated with numerology and astrology, and then there's an affirmation. So the affirmation actually is used as an affirmation, but it also adds to the person's story when I am reading for them. So they get a lot of information with just one card, nevertheless, when working with 12 cards with them,
Okay.
if that makes sense. So in that process of working with cards, and anybody who works with cards know that that's like also the gateway to activating additional spiritual modalities. So
Okay.
working with the cards, being able to hear my mom, be able to see her, and then over time, it went beyond just seeing her and hearing her, where now I was really able to hear other spirits as well, other family members, other friends,
Well, that's interesting.
friends.
So do you feel like the cards kind of almost amplified your ability to open up
Definitely.
a form of communication? That's
Yes, definitely,
interesting. Hmm.
definitely. So in addition to having those skills, those tools, and being a holistic personal trainer, now about 10 years ago, I qualified myself as a certified personal trainer, because for the last 30 years that's what I was, a personal trainer. But somewhere along the line, I also heard my mom start talking to me about the factor of redirecting the way I worked with my clients. So rather than just working with my clients as a personal trainer,
Mm-hmm.
I started working with my clients holistically in regards to working with their mind, body, and spirit.
Okay, so you started more, would you say more of like a conventional
Yes,
personal trainer? You
definitely.
were more focused on the
Conventional personal
physical.
trainer. And
Okay,
within
that's
the last,
interesting.
give and take, 10 years, I have transitioned that out to being a holistic personal trainer. So when someone does come to work with me, yes, ideally, I'm there to help them reach their goals of whatever their health and fitness goals are. But I'm
Mhm.
also there to take a little deeper, to help them really tap into whatever childhood wounds they might be carrying that they may not be aware of, that
That
as
affects the
adults,
physical.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, as adults we get triggered, and those
yeah.
triggers come from our childhood experiences.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So for those of you who are watching, if you have ever experienced some kind of like emotional block or even physical manifestation, chances are it's related to some kind of, I guess, trigger from the childhood, right? Even anxiety, like,
Oh yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. And it can even run a little deeper than not just childhood, but it could also run in
past
regards to
lives,
even past life.
past lives. Yeah.
That we're carrying things, and it may not even be ours. It could be something that we're carrying for somebody else, and we're working through it. So when I work with my
Mm,
clients, that's what I help them to discover whatever it is that they're holding on to. And theoretically, when one holds on to anything, they hold on to it in their bodies. It shows up physically as perhaps physical weight or physical
yeah.
discomfort.
Have you seen that show? Have you worked with clients and seen like past life stuff show up? Like maybe if they're overweight, maybe it was some related to something, some trauma in a past life. Have you seen that? Yeah.
Well, not even past life, but sometimes they're carrying out weight due to a trauma they experienced in this lifetime as a child. And
Right.
it's a matter again, whatever that trauma was, that they needed to start to replace or replace. I'm going to use that word because that's what I'm hearing. Replace sweetness by using food.
Oh, that's interesting. Also, that can be like holding on to weight can be a form of protection too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
until they can um, understand and connect the connection between
Emotional.
when they actually put on the weight, how it's connected emotionally, and then
Mhm.
be willing to really explore the trauma that is connected to, and then
Yeah.
ask themselves if they're really ready to release it, because that's the big thing. That's the big component, is being able to release that weight that they've been holding on to as a protector.
Right. They don't need that protection anymore. They're safe, right? And then
Yes.
helping them to feel that and create that release for them. Yeah, that's huge. Emotional with weight. That's, I feel like that's, you can't, how can you enter a program and not include that, right?
Exactly. Well, I mean, theoretically, the average personal trainer doesn't work on that.
No, because conventional medicine doesn't even address.
Exactly. So when you take the average person who's looking to get healthier, and and the term I use is release weight, to release the weight that they're carrying. In order to release it, they need to understand where it came from, what it's
Yes.
connected to, and then allow themselves to forgive
Yeah.
themselves for that experience.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
recognizing, and you and I were talking about this before we came on the air, recognizing the love they have for themselves, self-love, and indulge in that self-love, so they don't feel they have to look for
Yeah.
that love outside, that they can actually give it to themselves.
Yeah, and I see that show up a lot with people and blocking abundance
Yes.
and blocking opportunity. It has a lot to do with receiving, the ability
Yes.
to receive, right? To
Yes.
allow
Yes.
yourself to receive, to feel love, right? To receive.
Yep. And
Most people don't.
a lot of that could be also related, which is what I'm actually just hearing now. So obviously somebody needs to hear this, is in reference to when we think about receiving the abundance. Sometimes, depending on what the trauma is, sometimes it's a matter that somebody might have experienced where they had to do something in order to get something, if that
Oh,
makes sense.
interesting. Like they had to prove their worth almost.
Exactly. Or they had to do some sort of action in order to receive something. So
Yeah.
they now have this block where I don't want to receive, because in order for me to receive something, I have to give something that I'm not willing to give,
Well, that's
especially in
interesting.
a more vulnerable state.
Yeah, and
So
all of
that,
this, right, all this is the subconscious, right? It's all, so essentially you're working with the subconscious.
oh yeah, it's the subconsciousness, the unconsciousness, the consciousness,
Yeah.
the willingness to want to explore. I mean, the average client that comes to me, they're coming for the sole purpose of they want to let go of weight. They want to drop, whether 10, 20, 30, 50 pounds. They want to
Okay.
do that. That is their primary goal, is that this is what I want to do. And I'm all for that. But I also want them to not only let it go, I want them to completely release it so they never have to call it back in again.
Yes, they don't have to repeat that pattern or that cycle, right? Is
Exactly.
there a common thread that you see between most people who come to you that want to lose weight? Is there a common thought or a common belief or something that kind of links them all together? Do you ever notice that?
Well, I think the common thread is, again, the fact that they put on weight. And most of the time, again, like we said before, it's connected to, because it's a question I ask them: when did you put on this weight? What was going on in your life at the time when the weight came on? And can they
Okay.
remember?
So like the trauma that occurred, maybe?
Well, they may not even connect it to a trauma at that point. They may just know, okay, the weight came on, let's say 6 years old, 7 years old, and they haven't still connected what was the actual experience to it,
Right.
until we
That
actually go through the conversation. And then all of a sudden the memory will come back. And I can see it in their face as they talk about it. Excuse me one second.
There's the throat chakra, right?
Exactly. And it's a very intensive conversation, so it does get a little bit.
That's okay. Take some drinks of water or something if you need.
Thank
It's
you.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So when I get someone in that space where they become vulnerable, and probably the first time they're actually sharing their experience with me in regards to what they actually experienced that called on that weight, and they felt that, well, if I just put on weight, the person will leave me alone. And then they realize even that doesn't help them.
That's interesting. I've watched stories of women actually who put on weight almost subconsciously because they didn't want male attention.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
In fact,
is that kind of what you're saying?
I had a client about maybe 11 years ago, right before I was actually tapping into this work, would come in, and she said to me, my goal, I want to lose about 80 pounds.
Wow.
And I was like, great. We sat down. And again, I was not doing this type of work. At that point, I was a traditional personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat down, and she starts telling me her story that, 5 years ago, she was thin. And when she showed me a picture of herself at the time, I did not even believe it was her, because I was like,
Wow.
okay, so this was only 5 years ago. And I had asked her, I said, so what happened from 5 years ago to present that led to this? And she said, I would go to work every single day. She worked for a construction company, and she'd have to walk down the street with a bunch of construction workers.
Like the cat calling, right?
And she would get calls all the time. And she got so tired of it.
Yeah.
That she was like, okay, what can I do to stop this? So she just decided that she was going to protect herself, and she ended up putting on weight, 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds.
Wow.
And she said to me, she goes, the shocking part of it was her being 80 pounds heavier still did not stop the catcalls. And
Yeah,
she was
must
just
be a beautiful woman.
Yeah, she did. She couldn't even understand. She's like, I don't understand. And that's when she said that she needed to do something, because what she thought would help her didn't. And that's when she found me, and she's like, you have to help me. I was like, we could definitely do. And at that time, it was all relating to just really redirecting her so she can exercise, changing her dietary habits, shifting her mindset. Now,
Yeah, it's all the
hypothetically,
mindset, right? And that shows you too, if she's still getting those cat calls, it's something coming from within. It's not
yes,
right. It's not the outside. It's something that's attracting that because she has to heal from something, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So theoretically, if she would have came to me now with that story, it would have been a testimonial story for me, because what I know now and what I knew then, very different, and I would have been able to help her in such a different way.
Oh yeah,
Now,
you're always learning and growing, right? We're always.
I mean, I definitely helped her, but I think I would have been able to really spread her wings, which would have been nice. But
Well,
I
you can
definitely did.
use your story to inspire other people. That's always, it's
Yes,
a learning
yes.
process. If you're watching now and you have any questions for Reverend Joanne about physical manifestations, right? Something that's showing up, ask those questions. I'd love to hear that. I have actually a question for you. Do you follow Louise Hay's work at all? The Heal Your Body, Heal Your Mind?
I
You
sure do.
do. Yeah,
I I refer to it all the time.
it's
In
great.
fact, I was actually just talking about that today too, in regards to how the metaphysical concepts, the process of everything, all our emotions based on the medical industry has a medical diagnosis. But then you got the flip side of it where it also has a metaphysical explanation.
Yes, because it's a
And when we can
manifestation. Everything's connected, right? It's all,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. And when we can get the diagnosis, but then take it the next level of, okay, what is it our body is trying to tell us?
yes,
And dig into that in regards to, like, for example, as you and I were talking about before, we think about if someone's experiencing shoulder discomfort. Now, many of us in the last 2 years are sitting in front of our computers for really long periods of time. And
yes,
just from sitting, our posture, gets weakened.
yes.
Yes. And our shoulders start to bother us. Now, I don't know if our audience knows this or not. Our shoulders are actually connected to our throat chakra.
Interesting.
So when our shoulders start to bother us, it could be, of course, because we're sitting for long periods of time, but it's also in reference to what we need to say that we may not be saying, or what we need to hear that we're not listening to.
Right. So that's the metaphysical, that's the spiritual, that's the emotional component too. I actually was looking up, my thumb has been hurting me like here a lot. It almost feels like, I don't know, carpal tunnel or arthritis. So I looked up the Louise Hay and it said the hand is about holding on
Yes,
too tight and the
exactly.
thumb was intellect. So like worrying. So then
Exactly.
there's affirmations that you can say, right, to correct.
Exactly. And also to take it one step further. Now, if I'm looking at it right, it's your left hand.
My left, yeah,
Right.
the left
So when you
side,
look at the left hand, it's the left side of the body, which also means the feminine
the
energy
feminine.
of receiving.
Yes, allowing,
So
receiving.
exactly. So you may be holding on too tightly to something
Yeah,
where
that's so
you're not
true.
willing to receive
Yes,
some support.
very true.
And that's why the hand starts to bother. Now, when we think about arthritis in itself, arthritis is just inflammation, and inflammation shows up metaphysically. Inflammation is a sign of anger.
Yes. Yeah, stuck anger, right? Yeah,
Exactly. So there
yeah.
could be something that's going on an internal level that you may need to connect with, sit with to
Oh,
figure out, okay, where
100%.
am I
I know what
angry?
it is already.
Excellent. Yeah. You know, and when we can understand and when we can listen to our bodies, we can really diagnose ourselves
I know,
where we
it's
don't necessarily have to run to the doctor to find out what's going on with us. We can literally say, okay, this is where I'm feeling it. This is what it's connected to. What can
yeah.
I do today so I can start to feel better?
I know. Imagine if we were all taught how to do that. I find that most people too, do you find that most people have a hard time getting into their body, that they're very much detached in the mental,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that question. Because in reality, when we think about it, the average person is really where when we say mind, body, spirits, and emotions, our mind and our bodies are not connected, the average person. So it's a
Very true.
disconnect. So when you
Very
sit
true.
here, or when I sit here and I ask a client to connect in with their body to see what they are feeling, that itself is a foreign thing for them because it's a disconnect for their mind and their body.
Yes, they can't even tell you what they're feeling, right? They're like, I don't know, because
Exactly.
I'm not in my body. I don't know. I know.
Exactly.
I found
And
that.
they're so distracted from the external world that it's like getting them to be still just for a minute is challenging because that
Yes.
means they literally have to connect with
Yes.
themselves.
And silence the mind, right? And allow. And do you think, I imagine as a physical trainer, incorporating exercise really helps with that too, like getting in the body, getting grounded, right?
Yes, yes, yes. And in fact, for many of my clients, when I do work with them on the training aspect, I also help them to connect with their body based on numerology and also astrology.
Wow. So
Where I take
personally,
Yes, where I take their
personally,
actual astrology information and we apply it into what they're working on for the day. As I said earlier to you, where we think about the moon energy, which is in Taurus right now, which is all about our vocal cords, all about how we speak, our neck area. So today would be, and depending on where the person's moon sign, what the person's moon sign is, and how it's connected collectively, I would
wow.
make sure that I am actually hitting exercises that's going to amplify their planets in their chart.
Well,
So
that's
it aligns
fascinating. Wow.
physically, emotionally, and mentally with the energy we're surrounded by.
I've never heard anyone incorporate astrology with physical fitness like that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So if I'm a Gemini moon and a Leo sun and a Scorpio rising, what's the best exercise for me? Would you be
Well,
able to do that?
you actually just said a whole lot of stuff there. But theoretically, when we think about the let me see if I can find my other book a second. And I might be able to answer that question.
If you
You
can't, it's
only,
okay. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
if you only saw my table right now. Another book, which is called Self-Growth Discovery Workbook, which
Oh,
stems
cool.
from my cards.
Oh, you
Published.
wrote that. Oh my God, look at
Yes,
you. You're
yes.
amazing.
And there's a chapter that speaks about the energies, the specific exercises one can do based on, I'm just looking for the,
Based
based
on
on the
the
chakra
astrology?
itself.
Oh, the chakras.
Based on the chakra itself, and also based on astrology. And depending on what's more potent in your chart, like for example, and only because I turned to it, and we was just talking a little bit about the crown chakra. The planet that's associated with the crown is Jupiter. So now, when we think about specific exercises for the crown itself,
Like
it
to
really
open up
is
your crown chakra.
exactly. It's about, let's say, handstands and also tree pose.
Oh, okay.
So
So
if
some
someone's
yoga
looking to
poses.
activate their Jupiter energy and also activate their crown chakra, they would want to participate in that exercise. So this is what they're activating.
Right. Or if they
And
want to get more grounded, go to the root chakra, go to the sacral,
yes,
right?
and a very simple one in regards to grounding, and we all do it every day, probably thousands of times in our day, are squats.
Yes.
Literally sitting and standing out of a chair is going to literally tap into the root chakra and help the individual get grounded while they're sitting and standing.
Yeah, that's great. I read somewhere a good way to ground in the morning was to like stomp your feet. And it sounds so silly, but I do that. I get up and I stomp my feet and it really feels good. It really
Oh,
does.
yeah. Because what you're doing is you're actually activating Mother Earth by tapping your feet to the floor,
It feels
stomping
so
them to
good.
the floor. Yes.
Yeah, it's so important. I feel like if anyone's watching right now and you are feel like there's so many people who don't have a practice in their life, who don't have a meditation practice, who don't have a exercise practice, they don't really discipline themselves. I mean, even for 10 minutes because they're so busy, right? Our days are so busy. And I really feel like it makes such a huge impact to even just insert 10 minutes of exercise, 10 minutes of
Definitely.
meditation, right? Like,
Definitely. In fact, since we spoke a little bit about astrology, we tapped into chakras. Let's talk in numerology just for a second.
yeah.
When we think about, as we're speaking about getting into practice of health and fitness, finding the time to do 10 minutes, whether it's 10 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of movement, 10 minutes of stretching. When we think of numerology specifically for this year, when we take the number 2022, which is our year, it's what we call the universal energy of the year, which adds up to a 6.
Oh, it's a
And
6 year?
yes, and the number 6 in numerology is all about healing, healer, nurturing, caring for ourselves, caring
Yes.
for our bodies. And it's
Yeah.
also associated with the 6th house in astrology, which is associated with health and fitness, scheduling and organizing a routine into one's life.
Oh, so that's important for this year.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very important. And it could also be something which I mean, I'm seeing it where so many people are becoming very conscious about, oh, I need to move my body. I need to
Yeah.
do some sort of movement to get things going. Now, of course, the average person, when they think about moving their body, the first thing, specifically women, will do is like, okay, I want to go do cardio. I want to get on a treadmill. I want to do the bike.
Right.
I want to do the elliptical. But because I'm an advocate of weight training as a former bodybuilder, my thing
Oh,
is
that's right.
yes, specifically for women, weightlifting is so important in
Yes.
reference to for bone health, for our
Yeah.
metabolism, and I'm going to try to keep this show rated A as opposed to X. But it's also really good in reference that when we lift weights, our bodies are so strong and healthy that we literally want to walk around naked. And talk about
You feel
self-love.
good. Yeah, you feel good.
Talk about self-love. When you love the way your body looks with nothing on, you feel confident about yourself.
100%. Yeah. I remember there was a period of time where I was going to the gym regularly before COVID, and I was lifting weights and doing, I think I was probably in the best shape I've ever been in. And I felt so good, you know? But then, and I'm sure you've seen this too with a lot of clients, COVID happened and the gyms and everything, and then you had to change your routine. And can you talk a little bit about that? Maybe for those who are
Definitely.
watching, what is a good home routine or something women can incorporate with weights that's you don't need, equipment or something like that?
Exactly. Well, to start off with, anything you could do in a gym, you could do home. You don't need an actual gym to do a workout. You could do a total body workout with being at home, and you could start off with just your own body weight. I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, it was called calisthenics, where
Yes.
you actually do squats, you do push-ups, you do bent over rows,
Yes.
and you can actually use things that you have at home. Like most people have a gallon of milk in the kitchen. When
Yes.
the gallon of milk is finished, fill up the gallon with water
Water
and use that.
bottle. Right.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that when you find yourself becoming more consistent doing your home workout, then you can go to the store and pick yourself up weights that's going to challenge you in regards to the amount of repetition. Or the easiest way of doing it is timing yourself. So it's not about repetition. It's about, okay, we're going to do this exercise for 30 seconds. And when you're able to do the 30 seconds and it's no longer challenging, take it to the full minute. And when you could do the full minute, then either one or two things. Now it's time for weights, or you can do what we call super interval training, or
Yes, I
known as
like interval training. HIIT
you know
workouts. I like those a lot.
exactly.
Yeah.
But you could do a full total body workout at home without going to the gym, and still get the same benefits as if you're in the gym.
So no
Now,
excuses, people.
exactly. In fact, for myself, the only reason why I would go to a gym is for, I would say, 3 pieces of equipment. And those equipments are the lat pull down to work your lats, unless you could do pull ups in your
I love the
home,
lat pull down. Yeah.
leg press. If you
Oh,
if
the
you
leg press.
yes, if you want to really strengthen your quad muscles, your leg press, because squats will do it. But if you really want to strengthen the quads and also hit it at different angles, your leg press. And then my very favorite one, lying leg curl, which concentrates on the hamstrings.
Yeah, that's a killer, that one.
Yes. So that would really be the only reason why somebody would really need to go into a gym to work out. Otherwise, in replacement to lying leg curl for hamstrings, I'm giving out some tips here. You can actually you lie on the floor, you bend your knees, and you go into a bridge position, and you elevate just one leg off the
Oh,
floor.
I've done that before.
You're
Yeah.
doing what they call a single leg bridge exercise, which
Yeah.
concentrates on the hamstring.
Yeah. I've
So
done that
there's
before.
there's always a way to work out at home. So the whole process of, well, I can't work out in the gym, so I'm going to stop working out. No, that's not a good idea.
It's a mental block. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just a mental
exactly.
block. We have some
Exactly.
comments for you. Fibonacci, oh, he's been on my show before. I like your style, Joanne. I too work with the astrology. For instance, today the moon is in Aries, so I work with Fire Force South and do yoga for Aries and first house placements like headstands. You can take it further and align with certain asteroids and stars using a star chart and align to the directional degree in seconds, pointing that direction, aligning and working with just a scientific part of the body like the knee or the eye or the ear. Wow.
Yes, yes. It can get very specific in regards
That's
to when
amazing.
you're working with someone's astrology chart with their workouts. Now, as I was saying in reference to the numerology, when we talk about that six energy collective year, the energy of that six, and then when we go on our personal energies as well. Now, interesting enough, I'm going to bounce back to astrology just for a second. And anytime I speak about this, I usually most of the time blow someone's mind when I say this. In
Yay.
regards to when we talk about in regards when we talk about releasing weight, there's this one planet. There's actually several, but I'm going to just speak about one for right now. And the planet is Jupiter. Now, the planet Jupiter is known as the expansion and the gift
Yeah,
planet. So
Jupiter
when we
is
think
pretty
about
great.
Jupiter as the expansion planet, when Jupiter goes retrograde, and thank God it's not retrograde now, but when it goes retrograde, it actually is the cause of the average person putting on weight during a Jupiter retrograde.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, it's an actually it literally the average person during a Jupiter retrograde ends up putting on weight during that period of time.
That's fascinating. So when is there an astrological time where it's easier to lose weight?
That,
Um,
that really varies on the person's
on the
astrological
person.
chart. Yeah, because
Okay.
it's very individualized, and
Right.
also too, depending on the time of day the person is born, will determine whether or not they are going to have a more challenging time with weight, with releasing weight, or it's an easier time to release weight.
Okay.
In fact, let me see if I have that here, which I think I do.
Oh, so depending on their birth time when they were actually born in the day? That's
Exactly.
interesting. Wow.
Exactly.
Wow,
In,
I never knew anything about this. This is
in
fascinating.
fact, I'll read something really good. What is your sun sign?
I'm a Leo.
Okay, so for Leos, this is based on how does astrology measure up regarding our body weight. For Leos, unlikely to gain weight, especially if you have lean muscle. However, as you age, it is important to stay fit.
Hmm.
Otherwise, your lean muscle will decrease and
Hmm.
fat will increase, causing weight gain.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
now what is the moon sign?
Gemini.
So now Gemini does not gain weight
Yeah, I don't
easily,
really gain weight.
and metabolism runs fast. However, as you get older, your metabolism slows down. So now between Leo and Gemini, as you get older, your metabolism is going to get slower. And we haven't even spoken about the rising sign. What's your ascending?
Scorpio.
Oh my goodness. Scorpio. She's a water sign in her ascending. Now, when we
Yeah.
think about water signs in itself, that too plays a contribution to water weight because of the water. So
Oh,
Scorpios, Pisces, and also Cancer are likely to experience bloat.
bloating. Yeah, sometimes.
Yes,
Sometimes.
exactly. So now here for Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto and Mars, and right now Pluto and Mars both are in Capricorn energy. So a lot of work going on there with your body. It is important to keep your weight at a healthy range because Scorpio and Cancer, as I just said, are cousins. Therefore, you tend to hold on to childhood issues, and this may result in weight gain
Oh, that's
based on
interesting.
the childhood issues. Because if you're holding on to childhood issues, chances are you're going to want to look for sweet food to fill
Yeah.
whatever that craving is when your inner child is tapping
Oh,
in.
yes, that's true. Like that comfort, that, yeah.
Exactly.
I,
Yeah.
I, I've been kind of inactive since the summer, and I just started in February working out again. Um,
Excellent. Yes.
I'm just very sore.
Well, that's part of the working out. Soreness is a great thing, and in fact, we want to be slightly sore after a workout because that means we have literally tapped into what we call little muscle fiber tears. And when we have
Mm,
muscle fiber tears, it means now
right.
our body's got to rejuvenate, repair, so we build leaner muscle tissue.
Yeah, right. That's how the muscle grows, right? You're stretching,
Exactly.
you're like
Ex-
ripping and stretching.
Exactly. Yeah. We're literally ripping little fiber tears there. And
Yeah,
we need that recovery period so our muscles can strengthen and then rebuild.
right. Um, uh, exactly day or night chart. You know your stuff, Joanne. Ah, that's nice.
Thank you.
You know your stuff. Yeah, you certainly do know your stuff. So, maybe you could, I don't know if you want to go into a little astrology or numerology of maybe what's been going on,
Let's
energetically.
Yes,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about February since we're in February.
Yeah.
And February is known as the month of love because of
Yeah.
Valentine's Day,
Yeah.
theoretically. And when we think about February in itself, February is the second month of the year. So it carries that two energy, which is about our partnerships, our relationships, friendships, marriages, and all the contracts. But the most important relationship that there is the one we have with ourselves. And
Yeah.
as you and I were chatting before we came live, February has a lot of twos in it.
Yeah. Two, 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 two.
Exactly. Like if the average person right now were to look at their calendar and see how many twos, like we have February 2nd. Now, I'm sure we can all talk about that because it happened already. That 2022 energy, which was
Right.
so powerful. And it added up to what was that? Two, 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 two. It was five twos in that date. So when you think about it in numerology, it carries the number 10, which is about doing things a new way. In astrology, it's associated with Capricorn, which, when we said before, we have Pluto, we have Mars, we have Venus, and we have Mercury in Capricorn energy. So there's a lot of support that we are getting from our planets to do the work that we're here to do on our body right now.
Oh, that's great.
You know,
Hmm.
so there's definitely no excuse for anybody in this very moment to not be practicing some sort of health and wellness because we have support from
A
our
lot of
planets. In fact, our
support.
planets are forcing us to need to move more. You know, so you
Right.
have that first set of twos, and then this week we have the 11th, 211. Now, the number 11 in numerology is what's known as a master number. And the master number, what that means is it's the master healer
The
of our
11, right?
lives, our relationships. And it adds up to the exact same thing as that first set of twos, except the vibration is so much higher because of that 11.
The 11, the master number, right?
So
Wow.
that's coming in because today's the 8th. So what? 2 days from now, 3 days from now, we're going to be moving into that higher vibration of how can we work on ourselves?
So the
How can we
211, the 211.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Wow.
And
So February is a powerful month, it feels like. A lot of potential for
exactly,
supporting what we want to change. That's what it seems like.
exactly. You know, and we also have the support from our planets because all this energy that's going on in the 10th house associated with Capricorn, which is the work that we're here to do. And when we think of Pluto, Pluto is our planet of transformation. Pluto is also associated with our body. So it's helping us to transform our bodies. It's helping us to release Whatever
Mm.
the emotional traumas that we've been carrying, it's helping us to
Mm.
get rid of it, to die it off so we can rebuild this new mindset with our body. And then we have
Yeah.
Venus, which is again the planet of love, relationships, and money.
Venus, yeah. Venus is
You know,
direct now.
yes, yes. And then Mercury is our planet that talks to us, and Mercury's having that juicy conversation with the other planets in reference to how can we make ourselves better? How can we improve our bodies? How can we improve the work that we came here to do in our bodies? How can we embody our body, which is what we were saying earlier? And then we have Mars.
Wow.
Let's talk about Mars for just a second. Mars is our fire sign. It's also our masculine energy, but it's also the aggression, the anger.
Mm.
It's,
Right.
it's about taking action. It's literally forcing us to need to take action. Now, to
Mm.
take it one step further, each and every one of us have these specific planets on our charts. Now, depending on where they sit on our chart individually, will then give us a theme to what each one of these planets are helping us to work on.
So when you know your Mars placement, that helps you know what? What exactly? How to insert your power? How to.
Exactly. So, for example, like my Mars placement is in Aries. And because right
Oh.
now the collective energy is in Capricorn, what that's helping me to really do is helping me to start off with. Aries is first house. So it's all about self. It's all about me. It's helping me to really see myself in the work that I do and show up so the world, my community, can see the work that I do. So it's very important for me to show up and
Mhm.
demonstrate so the collective can, I'm going to use this word, judge me and say, wow, like the viewer said before, she knows her stuff. And
Right.
that's very important for me right now because of that Mars in my chart is Aries. It's very important for me right now. Now, if hypothetically I had a Mars in Taurus, it would be a different energy. It would be more about just taking a peek. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It would be more about the work they need to do physically and materially, based on their physical stuff and their material stuff and what that means for them, like working in their house. And when we think about our house, it's not just our shelter, but it's our bodies as well. How we
Yeah.
physically want to be seen in our own body. So
Right.
someone that might have a Taurus Mars is focused on being seen in their own body, how they feel in their own body. So knowing the placement of each of these planets on one's own chart and then that collective energy can
Knowing
give them
what's
the
going on
feeling.
now within that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when we think about what's going, like when we think about like where the energy is with our sun, which is Aquarius energy. Aquarius is associated with our community. It's the 11th house energy. It's community, it's humanity. And depending on where that sits, like for you, you said you are a Scorpio sun.
So, Leo sun, Scorpio rising.
Thank you. So that's an interesting one because for you, because you're a Leo sun, Leo is the opposition sign of
Yes.
Aquarius.
Yes.
Yes. So a very powerful time for you because
Yes.
when we think about Aquarius right now, we have Saturn in Aquarius energy right now. And I think that's the only planet we have in Saturn. Saturn and the sun are the only two in Aquarius. So because you have a Leo sun, you feel that energy. So for you, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So for you, you're in your 7th house with this. So this is about balance for you. And because
Mm.
you're a Leo, you like to have fun. You need things to be playful. You need things to be adventurous.
Hmm.
But you want that right now. You also want that balance. You want
Hmm.
balance. You want to know that, okay, if I'm going to have to work 5 hours today, I need to know that I can go play or do something fun to
Oh,
balance
so
out the energy for me.
yeah, so true. Especially when you're an entrepreneur and you're
Yes,
self-employed, you really need that balance. Like today, I took a walk before I did any computer work because I was like,
exactly.
I need to be outside. I need to feel the sun. And then let me work on the computer.
Exactly. And the other reason why you want to be outside is because that Aquarius energy is helping you to want to be balanced in your community, outside, in nature.
Yeah.
Where theoretically, if it was a different sign, you might not be so wanting to be outside. You might want to be inside, depending on where the sun is at that time.
Yeah, that's
If that
fascinating.
makes
I
sense.
also feel like I've been feeling the coming of spring too. I
Yes,
could feel, even though it's not yet, I feel it like I'm more sensitive to it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So when we do understand our actual natal charts and connect it to who we are and also our numerology. So I'm going to take numerology here. So we already know that the collective energy is a 6. Now, if you don't mind, and you don't have to tell me the year because I don't need that, but what is your actual birthday?
Oh, it's August 17th, 1979. You can know the
Okay,
year.
don't need the year. So
I
it's
don't care.
August 17th.
August 17th. Yeah.
Okay, one second. Got to do some math in my head, so bear with me.
No worries.
Okay, so you are actually what we call in the 4th house, in the 4th year energy, personal energy year. And what 4 is all about being home, your family,
Building a
nurturing,
home and a
caring.
foundation. Yeah.
And yes, and building a foundation. And when you think about that 4 energy, it's not just about your home where you live, but it's also your home of your body. So building a
Um,
new foundation with your body, which is why it makes sense to why you wanted to start back up with your exercise routine, because
yeah.
you want to build a new foundation. In
I want
fact,
to
you and
get
I are both in yes, you and I are both in the same personal energy year because I'm a 4 too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I read 4 is all about, yeah, home. And I also want to move this year. I want to
Yeah,
move
well,
into a new
that's
home.
the
So
foundation part of it, is that this is your year to build a new foundation, whether that means literally relocating someplace, um, expanding on your business, all areas. It's not just limited to one thing. When you're in your 4 personal energy year, it's everything.
yeah,
Everything.
it's really helpful to know your personal energy year. And can you just remind everyone how we do that? Is it you
Of
add
course,
your birthday and the year, right?
you add your birthday, your date that you're born, and the current year. And it's
Okay.
very important to write it out. So, for example, someone who I'll use my number 3 plus 4 plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 2, and then add it up.
So you're
Now,
not your year, just your birth month and your day plus 2022. Right. Okay.
exactly, the current year. Now, anyone, when whatever the number is, if they have the numbers are double digits, such as what yours was, so yours was 13, we break it down to a 4. Because in numerology, all numbers get added up to a single digit, except
11s,
when
right? Or 22s.
they have 11, 22, or 33.
Right.
Those stay as, but they still carry the same meaning of the single digit number, just has a higher
Oh, okay.
vibration. Yes.
That's
Yes.
interesting. Yeah, I think I did my boyfriend's personal year and it was an 11. So it was a 1-1. So I didn't, yeah, it's
Yes.
a master
Yeah.
number, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for him, now that's his energy for this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for him, what that means is that he's working on mastering his relationships. Now, the key component to that is he's got to first master the relationship with himself. And once he
Yeah.
masters the relationship with himself on healing whatever childhood wounds he may have, then he will start to heal the external relationships as well. But the primary one for him to heal is one with self.
Your
And he's got the
relationship.
entire year to do that. And he probably is doing a really good job on doing it,
I gotta
especially
tell him.
in February.
I gotta tell him that. That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's really helpful to know your personal year. Yeah,
Yes, definitely.
it puts things in perspective of what to focus on, right? What
Yeah,
intentions.
exactly. So when one actually does know their numerology, their personal energy year number, it really helps them to set things into place for them and what they're focusing on. It's like we just got done saying, we're both 4. So right off the bat, we know that we're working on building a new foundation. We're working on being disciplined. I like to use the word discipline as opposed to saying working hard. We're also
Mm.
working on knowing that whatever it is we are working on, we have to be patient because it's not going to just happen overnight. We're working
Yes.
on bringing more stability and balance into our life.
Right.
And it's very important in that 4 is about our family, our home, and wanting to nurture.
Yeah, and I also read the 4 year is also about all of the, like you said, not hard work, but all of the discipline, all of the foundational stuff that you need to consistently do to make the dream happen, right? It's
Yes,
like all of the, yeah,
yes.
all of the
4 is a
foundation.
very powerful year. Now, from my point of view, there are 3 personal energy year numbers that are the most challenging. And this is just my own point of view. Any other numerologist may think differently, but those
Mhm.
numbers are 5, 7, and 9. And
Ooh,
why? Yeah, 5, 7, and 9. Why I believe those are the 3 most challenging numbers. The number 5 is associated with change and freedom. Now, anytime we have to change, it means we're going to have change, which means that person's going to experience things coming to an end because change has to happen. And they have
right,
no control over it. Change has to happen. So
right,
they may be forced to leave their job, which is what we're seeing right now with many people.
right, right,
They may be looking for freedom. So that energy in itself, and when we think about if someone's carrying a personal energy of 5 in the 6 collective energy, it's really about how they want to change their health and fitness, how they want to change their schedule, how they want to change their routine, how they want to change their structure as well. So that's
right.
the 5 energy. Now let's talk about 7. 7 in numerology is all about the spiritual awakening. So
Ooh,
that person will experience a spiritual awakening where they will experience some dark energy where they literally will go down to the dark side because a lot of
right.
challenges will show up for them.
A dark night
So
of the
they
soul
can
kind of a thing, right?
discover, yes, so they can discover who they are during that
Right.
7 year. In fact, from my experience with working with many clients in their 7 energy year, most of the time they have a lot of challenges that if they are in a relationship, whether it's a marriage or just a relationship, most of the time that relationship will part ways just for that year because they are
Wow.
literally in a space where they are discovering who they are, and everything and anything is going to challenge them. It's a spiritual awakening. It's a time for them to go within. It's a time for them to quiet down. It's a time for them to reflect. It's a time for them to
Yeah.
develop a practice of meditation. And to do this, they really need to figure out who they are. Now, number 9, the 9 personal energy year, which even though it's a
Mm.
challenging year, it's also a
Is
very
nine
yummy year.
completion? Is nine's completion, right?
9 is all about they have to let things go. They have to
Mhm.
declutter. They have to end things. They have to complete projects. They transition. And when I use the word transition, they transition into a higher vibration. And also they transform. And when you think about that 9 energy year, it's combined with all the other 8 years. So it's a 9 year cycle that they are working on to clear out of their karmic cycle.
Wow. Yeah, that is a big. So anyone who has a five, what is it? 5,
7 or
7, or
9.
9, yeah. Good luck to you.
Yes, yes. And because it is in a 6 energy year, where theoretically those, and I say this too, those who were a 5, 7, or 9 in last year's energy, which was a 5 last year, well, they had a challenging time because the collective energy was all about change.
Oh, well, that's so true, right? Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I'm still
you have
feeling
to take all
that.
that in consideration. You
Yeah.
know, so now when you understand, when the individual understand their personal energy year number, and then they're in the process of like wanting to change in regards to how they look at how they feel about their body, it
Mhm.
could be a very challenging year for them because it's like all this change is taking place. Like, how do they find time to do? But it's very important for them to do.
Right. Yeah. Wow. You are a wealth of information and knowledge, and I just loved having you on the show.
Thank you.
we have our hour has gone by so fast. I feel like I could talk to you for even longer.
Wow, thank you. Yes.
So I want to let Joanne share with you how you can get in touch with her, what kind of offerings you have, how they can book a session with you. If you have anything coming up, let us know. I'll show your contact information.
Excellent. Excellent. I think the easiest and the quickest way is, of course, you can go to my what is that? My website. I'm like, what is that? My website? Yeah, no, that's my website. I'm just not interested. Yes, yes. And they can also email, which is healingwithin76@gmail.com. And those who do live local, you can definitely call me 646-236-9155. And when I work with clients, I initially start with what I call, as you saw, the self-growth discovery session to get to know the client on a deeper level, which I use my cards, and I use 12. I use 12 of there's 45 cards in the whole deck, and intuitively I will pull 12 of those 45 cards out to discover the client and help the client to really understand what it is they're going to be working towards, in addition to whatever their goals are as well. So if that's something they're interested in scheduling, perfect time to do it. It's called the self-growth discovery session, and they could definitely redeem that today. And for those who do, and they mention today's show, what I'll do for them with that is they're going to receive a complimentary 10-minute session in addition to the self-growth.
So that's lovely. I always say keep it going for 15 more minutes, please. Oh, that's nice. He's enjoying the show. Well, that's wonderful. So you have almost like a little coupon code for everybody who's watching.
Yes, they could just mention the show and redeem that 15-minute complimentary session.
And do you do personal training or
yes.
fitness stuff too?
Oh yes, yeah. Well, that's the theme of it all. It's holistic personal training. So averagely, when I work with clients, they definitely, what I usually try to encourage is that they take on what I call my body and soul transformation prescription, which combines personal training and also the healing work together. So they would usually
come a program. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the prescription plan is usually anywhere between a 6-month to 12-month plan. And when I use the word coming, they can either see me virtually or they can see me on site as well. So either way. And the average client sees me anywhere between 2 to 3 times a week, including, as I said, the healing work in addition to their training. Healing work they do once a week, and their training 2 to 3 times a week.
Fabulous. That's awesome. So people will really transform with you if they take you up on that. And yes. I have a wonderful event coming February, since it's the month of love. I have a channeling event February 20th, and it's embodying divine love. And I'll be channeling Jesus and doing a healing meditation to heal the heart. And we're going to connect to the pink ray. That's February 20th. And you can go to my website and book that. And I also have a free workshop next week for those spiritual entrepreneurs who are looking to create an online course and learn how to get clients. We're doing a free workshop next week as well. So I'm excited about that. So anything that you want to add on?
Yes, I want to add one more thing. For anyone who's interested, every Thursday, I offer what I like to call a cosmic energy soul reading. Every Thursday, they can get a 3-card reading for $44. All they have to do is reach out to me to schedule it. It's on Thursdays only. And usually the hours are from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So depending on, but if those hours do not work, I work to schedule out for that day. So it's a 3-card, 15-minute reading for $44.
Oh, that's nice. That's a nice offering. Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure having you. And
thank you.
Yes, that's awesome. And thank you everybody for watching. I will be back next Tuesday. Actually, no, it won't be Tuesday. It'll be a different day of the week because I have my workshop, but you'll see me next week. We're going to have Mindy Feinstein on. I probably messed up her name, and we're going to be talking about mediumship and angels. Yay!
Fun. Yeah, lovely.
Thank you all for joining us. I hope you get in touch with Joanne. She has a lot to offer. Bye, everybody. Take care. See you
Bye.
soon. Bye.